Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. 2019 is over. 2020 is here. Over the last month, like during December, I've been able to put in a lot of solid work as far as running goes. And I feel like I'm entering 2020 in a pretty good spot. I'm decently fit for this time of year and have been able to put in some pretty solid hard workouts. And as I tell you guys in this video what I'm up to in this year, I wanted to just express how grateful I am for the past year and how thankful I am for everything that was able to happen, even though it was hard. Over the past year, I was able to experience more in the trail and ultra scene than I ever have before. I was able to go to some amazing places and I was able to learn lessons that you can only learn through experience. I saw my oldest start kindergarten, I started a business, set massive running goals, and then watched them disappear into thin air. I also received my first DNF ever. I made personal connections that will last many years. I took more flights than I've ever have in my entire life. I saw some of the most beautiful places and remote places in our country. I experienced the hype of Western states, and I developed a massive respect for the 200-miler community. Through film, I was able to tell stories that can only be told in that way. I slept outside and in my car more than in hotels this year. I found out what it was like to not have cell service for an entire week. Didn't run for almost 3 months, and then started a 100-miler and didn't stop until I crossed the finish line. I've been so fortunate, and I am so grateful for how God has blessed me and my family in this past year. But 2020 is here, and I feel like I've been shot out of a cannon. I'm so excited for this year and what it brings, and I'm bringing all the lessons I've learned in the past year and the experience I've gained to push myself and see what is really possible. The first 100-miler I ever ran was the Grindstone 100 in Virginia. I was naive and signed up because of timing of the race and how relatively close it was compared to other hard rock qualifiers. Running hard rock is one of my long-term goals and one that I know is highly improbable that I'll ever get in, but nevertheless, it's there. After Grindstone, I ran the Run Rabbit Run in Colorado and made it out to several here in the Midwest, Kettle 100, Mohican 100, and the Hallucination 100. Like I mentioned earlier, during this past year, I traveled to Washington, Utah, and California several times. I got to experience those mountains and those trails from a unique perspective of filming and living in the backcountry for days. But after all of that, the South is calling me back. I'm longing for a hard race that scares the crap out of me. I need to go up against something extremely hard and see what I'm made of. And not that all 100-milers aren't hard, because they definitely are, but some set themselves apart from the rest. I'm sure some of you out there have this same feeling, and it's going to look different for all of us. But for me, this year, it's the Cruel Jewel 100. This is actually 106-mile race in Georgia, and it's got 33,000 feet of climbing. It's in May, when the South is typically really hot and humid. The trails are rocky, and the mountains are definitely very steep. The Cruel Jewel is a Western States qualifier, it's a hard rock qualifier, and it's also max points for UTMB. So it's a hard race. It starts at noon, and so for most non-elites, it's gonna take 38 to 40 hours. That's like the average of just the finishers, and there's a lot of people that do not finish this race. So basically, since it starts at noon, I'm gonna run all day, and then I'm gonna run all night, and then I'm gonna run all day the next day, and then the sun's gonna go down, and I'm gonna run through that night, and hopefully I don't see a second sunrise. I don't wanna set any crazy time goals, I just want to finish it. I wanna get out there and I wanna do well and experience what this race has to offer. So I'll be focusing all my training on this one race, and I've learned that that's the best way for me to do it, but I will be racing a few times before that, one in March, the Owen Putnam State Forest 50-miler. I haven't narrowed it down exactly which 50-miler in April, but I'm gonna do a 50-miler in March, one in April, and then the 100, the Cruel Jewel, in May. After the Cruel Jewel, I already have plans to go back out to Western States and crew and pace my good friend John, who got in finally. But I'm really excited to go out to Western States and experience it in a totally different way. Last year, I was working, filming a documentary. This year, it's gonna be about having fun, crewing, pacing, just getting out there and just experiencing it in a different way, and I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be using a little bit different method for my training this year. Basically, the training cycle of like 20 weeks is broken up into 3 blocks. First block is focused more on VO2 max. The middle block is focused more on like sort of like threshold, like that zone 3 area. And then the last block is going to be like really race specific, really focusing in on that zone 2, kind of that low gear grinding, lots of vertical gain. In the past, that was kind of reversed. I had a lot of my like longer, slower miles kind of in the winter, early spring months. And then I worked on speed and like that higher VO2 max up closer to the race. So flipping that this year. Both work. I'm going to push myself this year, but I am also at the same time really going to be focusing on listening to my body, resting when I need to, really trying to avoid injuries. I'm going to functionally overreach, and then pull myself back to recover in order to really get better. From now until May 15th, until race day, I will be sharing everything I can with you guys, updating as often as I can, letting you guys know how training is going, and giving you a peek into what I am doing on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. But I'll be updating you guys on here as much as I can, posting on Instagram, recording podcasts. I'll be even doing some live sessions here on YouTube. So this year's gonna be a blast. You guys are gonna really be able to get a peek into my training as I work my way through this process up to the Cruel Jewel 100. So I am pumped for this year and I'm so excited to share it with you. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for joining me in this process, and I will see you later. Bye.